Your pretty wall is broken, Rogel, Fulgrim declared. He lashed his blade into Dorn's shield and drew splinters. Your famous fortress is undone. Dorn's blow knocked the next words out of his mouth. Fulgrim stumbled. Dorn's great sword tore into his ribs. Fulgrim struck back, but found only shield again. You are a man in a broken tower, Fulgrim taunted and spat out blood. You stand so proud and so defiant, ignoring the fact the tower is falling around you. It will... Another blow. Fulgrim staggered away, then spun, head lowered, hair billowing, keeping his distance. Dorn lunged anyway, driving his shield into body and face. Fulgrim threw him off and leapt aside. So silent, Rogel, he crooned. No words of denial, no pleading for me to change my foolish ways and come back to you. You can tell me it's not too late. You can promise me sweet forgiveness. Dorn blocked into him, broke his guard with his shield, buried his blade in Fulgrim's shoulder meat, then body smashed him across the platform. Deeds are my words, Dorn said. Fulgrim nodded and spat blood again. Always, he agreed, licking blood off his teeth. You were never the wit, never one for fine conversation, just hard at work, and... Dorn broke his guard again with another lunge, carving a chunk of plate from Fulgrim's flank. Fulgrim surged and hammered out 9 rapid blows, each one a master kill stroke. Dorn blocked each one. Their blades flew, ringing against each other, drawing sparks. Fulgrim danced backwards. Dorn advanced. Fulgrim wiped his mouth with the back of his hand and smeared blood across his cheek. Are you really not going to try and convince me, asked Fulgrim, that I have made a mistake? Talk me back into the fold where I can make amends? Dorn surged and threw 2 rapid blows that Fulgrim only blocked with effort. No, said Dorn. He struck again, a low slice that Fulgrim parried, then a high back cut that tore through Fulgrim's gorget and scattered broken rings of golden mail. I'm just going to kill you, said Dorn. The Phoenician growled and charged 2 steps. Dorn met his first slash with his shield and countered his second with his blade. A third he parried, a fourth he turned aside in a squealing slide of steel that threw off sparks. Fulgrim backed off, arms spread, circling. Are you now? Fulgrim said. How bold, how empty. Look around. Dorn's glare remained fixed on Fulgrim. He feinted a step a bait Fulgrim took, then rammed the Phoenician with his shield and hammered 2 blows into his ribs with his pommel before they broke contact again. I said look around, Fulgrim snapped. Blood was streaming from his wounds, rolling down his gashed armor. Some had got in his hair. He tossed his sword from hand to hand, then seized the grip with both and hacked down at Dorn. Dorn blocked with a raised shield, turned out, and raked his blade deep across Fulgrim's chest. Fulgrim stumbled clear. Look around! Look around! Fulgrim screeched. See what's happening, Rogel Dolt! Your tower is tumbling down. No more running to Daddy crying, look! Look what I've built! It took you years to make this. And in one night I roll down upon you, crack your shield, and build a foothold. Dorn stamped at him, and they traded 4 swift blows that chimed like bells. Look, said Dorn. His gaze did not shift from Fulgrim's face. I don't have to. I see it all. All what? Snarled Fulgrim. He swung. Dorn turned the blade aside. I see your siege machines burning at the foot of the wall, said Dorn. I see your sonic weapons silenced. I see your host, foolishly committed in its entirety, pouring into a run of war that can be held by a fourth a tenth that size. Their blades flashed and rang again. Dorn lost a chunk of shield. Fulgrim took a laceration to the shoulder. And is held by a force a tenth that size, said Dorn calmly. Imperial fists, now bolstered by the 200 Legiones Astartes veterans I brought with me. 200 veterans who are skilled in every doctrine of war. Who have rallied this garrison and this wall stretch, and are now slaughtering this vanguard you so wantonly committed. They thank you for giving them such a wealth of bodies to reap. You have no foothold. I have! Fulgrim roared. He smashed his blade at Dorn, a series of furious strokes. Dorn parried them away. Only one got through and gouged his shoulder guard. No, said Dorn as they circled again. You're a fine fighter, but a poor strategist. You committed everything against a gap that could be held. You've burned the cream of your host for nothing, made them cannon fodder. 9,000 dead and counting. I know, Fulgrim. I know everything. You know nothing, Fulgrim cried. He railed in, and his gleaming blade sliced the flesh above Dorn's right eye. Dorn carved his ribs with the edge of his shield, punched him in the gut with his sword's guard, and kicked him backwards. You've let yourself be used as a distraction, said Dorn, keeping his gaze on his adversary, ignoring the blood pouring down his face. You've let your host be decimated. For nothing. The Saturnine ruse, I know about that too, has failed. Protorabo played his move and lost his piece. You're just a pawn. Was it the Lord of Iron who fooled you into this? Lupercal? Abaddon? You must have been willing. Were you getting bored with it? The spear tip is broken. You're holding a gate for no one. You're just an idiot, standing on a wall. Fulgrim's eyes widened very slightly. It failed? He whispered. Dorn lunged. Fulgrim leapt back. Dorn sliced and Fulgrim capered clear. I'm not trapped here, said Dorn. I'm not under siege today. You are, and that's why I'm going to kill you. The Praetorian swung. Fulgrim parried. Dorn followed in, and the great sword tore Fulgrim's cheek open. The Phoenician stabbed frantically, splitting armor and lacerating Dorn's side. Dorn struck out and severed Fulgrim's left wrist, so the hand was left hanging by a shred of flesh. Dorn drove the entire length of his blade through Fulgrim's belly. They stood for a moment as though embracing, the length of Dorn's sword spearing out from Fulgrim's spine, steam rising from the blade. Fulgrim rested his bloody cheek on Dorn's shoulder and sighed. Dorn ripped the sword out and stepped clear. Well, whispered Fulgrim, blood spattering out of his mouth. What a mess. He straightened up, gore running from his torn face and broken plate. It really failed, then. The Mournival plan? He asked. It did. They are all dead. Oh. Fulgrim smiled as much as his butchered face would allow. Teeth were visible through the slash in his cheek. You do fine work, he said. I wanted a scalp, said Dorn. I wanted his head, Lupercal. But you came instead. A traitor Primarch. I'll make do with you. All these things you know, said Fulgrim. So very able and informed. But there are things you don't. Name one, said Dorn. One, said Fulgrim. I can't die. He stared at Dorn. His wounds closed, the skin reknitting without a scar. His dangling hand refused, his armor fixed itself and regained its luster. His blood dried up and blew away as dust. Two, he said. I am sick of all of this. All of it. The others can find a way to grind you down and bring your fortress low. I cannot die, but I feel the pain, and I won't take any more of it. He sheathed his blade. His form began to grow, stretching its dimensions with an unearthly inner light. His legs fused like flowing wax, and he became from the waist down a gigantic serpent. The thick loops of his snaking lower body coiled out across the stonework, scales gleaming like mother of pearl. He rose up, his Lamia form towering over the Praetorian. There were scales around his eyes and cheek, and his tongue was forked. Dorn stared back up. He did not take a step backward, but his eyes narrowed and his grip on his sword tightened. There were no words for the impossibility of what he was seeing with his own eyes.